What's up, y'all? How y'all doing? Peace, peace, and
Yeah.
blessings. What's up?
All right. Wait, hello? It's on? It doesn't sound like it. Okay. Excuse me, guys. I'm a mess. So this is incredible. So many people here. Thank you guys so much for coming out today. Love this. I am still used to the Zoom screenings, so this is incredible and terrifying. So thank you guys so much. Thank you to Coodie and Chike, or Chike and Jay Ivy so much for being here. Incredible documentary. I'm sure everyone here would agree that it was so important. The first time I watched it, I can't even. I feel like it was so important for creatives, so important for people who are trying to like make it out there in the world, to see somebody like Kanye start where he did, be treated the way that he was treated, and come out on top. So, incredible work. Love that. You guys are so quiet.
They ready.
I need energy in this.
Yeah.
Wave your hands in the air.
Where y'all at?
I just don't care.
Thank you. Oh, God. Lord mercy. So quiet. Okay.
What y'all think about the movie? Yeah. Dope. Y'all seen one today? Which one y'all see today? One? Okay. But did y'all see all three? Anybody? Okay, bad, perfect.
How many people saw all three? Okay.
Yeah. What about
Okay.
them over there?
Out of
What's
zero.
up, y'all?
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. Okay. So I'm just gonna, I wrote down my questions so I wouldn't screw this up. So let's dive into it, you guys. So, again, you know, I feel like so much context was given to Kanye's career watching this. And it seems obvious, right? It seems like we should know that to be who he is today, like, he had to struggle and go through it. But, like, it was incredible to see that context on screen. And I guess I'm just curious, what inspired you guys to do this film now as opposed to earlier in his career? Because Kanye's been on top for a while. So I feel like this could have been a hit at any moment. So, like, why now?
Yeah, I mean, you know, really, it's all in God's time for us. And obviously there was times, ultimately, there were so many different times when we were going to do this project and it kind of got blocked. And, you know, there was one time when we had sat with Kanye a couple of years ago, and we actually it had the same name, JEEN-YUHS, and we went to HBO and presented, and then like he had some manager get involved and it just kind of blocked it. So, you know, we definitely would have put this out earlier, but it's just the universe it wasn't aligning until it did. But actually, it was perfect timing, because if we would have did this like 6 years ago or 7 years ago, we weren't even in the same space, like with our growth. You know what I'm saying? Even just as students of film, we weren't in the same space. We weren't in the same space spiritually, so we probably would have made a different movie that might not have been so rooted in what it was rooted in, and it might have been more about just a definitive doc on Kanye. You know what I mean? So the way it was told, the reason why it was told the way it was is because over those course of 6 years, we had started writing screenplays, and we had met with actually Nina Bon Jovi, who worked with Ryan Coogler, who came from the program.
Right.
We were going to send her a screenplay, and she was like, yo, before you send me anything, please read these books, like, so you know what you're doing with story. You know, we thought we knew what we were doing because we've been so successful with docs before and with music videos, and she told us, and we read those books and realized we didn't know anything. Like, it just flipped it. So then it was these story conventions that we were inspired by from reading these books that we applied to this film. We would have never done that. You know what I mean? So, like, that's why we say in God's time, you can't let you can't let your imagination get in the way of God's manifestation. You know, we say that when Coodie embarked on this project, he had no idea what he was doing then. Netflix wasn't even built. Some of the mediums that he shoots on his phone, there wasn't even an iPhone camera then. You know what I'm saying? So, like, the fact that we even waited that time, we were able to take advantage of, like, Netflix getting built. We was able to take advantage of the fact that he shot some of those last scenes in 3 you'll see on his iPhone. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it was just divine that we was able to that it happened at this time, and it couldn't be a better time. I feel like Kanye, regards to what is probably the most visible he's ever been at this moment for several reasons. But like, it's perfect for us because this film for us isn't necessarily about Kanye. Nah, but for real, it's like this film can take advantage of that because this film, it doesn't matter what side of the fence you sit on with Kanye. It's not about Kanye. It's about using Kanye sort of like as a carrot to really bring a film about how you can find your passion and move in it and eliminate fear to get through adversity.
Right.
That's what it's about. You know what I mean? So,
Well, you absolutely did that. I mean,
Thank you.
yeah. I mean, just in the first one, you can see his struggle, but it never, you never like see it weigh on him, right? Like he knows where he's going, and I guess like through that process, you had to really feel that too, right? To keep going with him. I mean,
Yeah.
when I was watching this, I was wondering, did he pay you? Did he pay you? No.
I never got paid.
That's a real friend.
Yeah. I mean, I just had a vision. You know, I read this book, Keys to Success. And when I read this book, y'all, I couldn't even read. I was 30 years old. Like, for real, like 30 years old. And the World Trade Center went down. And I was, like, stuck. And this one guy gave me Keys to Success. And this other guy, my boy Big Shoes, gave me this book called Celestine Prophecy. And when I picked up Keys to Success, you know, it said, okay, you got to have a major purpose in life. And I'm like, okay, major purpose. I want to own a network. So I wrote down own a network. And then I'm reading, and then words like initiative and all these words I didn't know. So I'm like, what's this word? Okay, so I had to get a dictionary, read the book with a dictionary. So I'm writing all these definitions down. And then it said you have to, one of the main things it said was you conceive and believe you can achieve. And that is so real. You know what I'm saying? If you can see it, you can achieve it. I know this mic kind of messing up, but after reading that, 2-2. So after reading that, I was like, okay, I had to read it like 2 times, like 3 times to really understand it. You know what I mean? So when I finally got to understand, I'm like, okay, so I got to have a mastermind alliance. Oh, then I met Chike and Jay Ivy. I've been met Jay Ivy though, but I just put all of us together, and then everything just started clicking. You know what I mean? And it was all God that even had me read that book, because you got to realize New York shut down, and then fast forward, we wind up doing Through the Wire, the video, and then after Through the Wire, if you fast forward 21 years later, 20-some years later, then the world shut down again.
Yeah.
And that's when we put this piece together. So it's kind of like a full circle moment as well.
Yeah.
You know, but that's you got to have a vision. You got to see it, believe it, and that's what Kanye did, and same with me, like following him, because people used to be like, "Why are you following this dude?"
Right.
You know, and I'm like, "Sure, y'all to see." You know, but like Chike said, you can't let your imagination get in the way of God's manifestation. I saw Grammys. I didn't know he was gonna run for president and be the richest black man in the world. I just couldn't even, you know, 'cause you can't write that. You know what I'm saying? Did y'all see A Kid from Coney Island? So we did a documentary on Stephon Marbury. If y'all ain't seen it, watch that. We went straight from A Kid from Coney Island to this documentary, and it's just not tripped out, I just show you how God worked. At the end, A Kid from Coney Island, it's this kid that came out of nowhere, Stephon, in the barbershop, and he just talking to the kid, and he got his haircut, you know, I'm going to pay for your haircut, and they talking. They had the same name, Xavier, because Stephon's name is Stephon Xavier Marbury. And then he asked the kid about, like, you know, you could be president. You know what I mean? Told the kid he could be president. The kid was like, nobody ever told me that before, right? And then the end of this documentary, Kanye is running for president. And he's still going to run. Y'all vote for Kanye? Oh, shit. Okay. Well,
You done start a whole nother conversation.
2024, let's go. But no, that's you know, that just the vision. Y'all gotta have a vision and move on that vision, and don't let nothing get in the way. You know, it might take 21 years though. If y'all got time, you know. But like you said, in God's time. So just know that.
So I'm curious, did Kanye have a major say in the way that he was depicted in this project? Because I know he has, you know, really strong opinions about how he's depicted in the media. So did he like sit down with you guys during the editing process, or
Nah, Coodie's, I mean,
Yeah.
you tell him best.
I
what you
just
tell
told him that he got to trust me. You know what I mean? Like, we had the movie already done when I showed Kanye the Sizzle.
Really?
You know, I went to DR. Like, a lot of that footage, everything y'all watching when y'all watch 3 was like real time. I went to DR to show him the Sizzle. And when I showed him the Sizzle, he was like, man, we got to put this out tomorrow, you know. And I'm like, no, we got to wait. But then I told him, I said, dude, you got to trust me and Chike. We filmmakers.
Yeah.
You know, you are a genius, but we are filmmakers. So you got to trust that I'm not going to do nothing that's going to hurt you, but we got to tell the truth. And the footage is telling the truth. But I told him, I said, but dude, this doc though ain't about you.
Yeah.
It's for the dreamers. You know what I mean? I said, dude, that's what we made this doc for, to let everybody know they have a genius in them. And we just an example of how we moved on our genius, you know, and he was like, bet. But then later on, he put the tweet out, and I'm like, oh, shit. Like, dang, oh, man.
Here we go.
That's like a rule that you just don't do that. But, like, you know, if he has his hands on his doc, then the audience can't even trust that we're telling a true story. You know what I'm saying? So it just becomes like a commercial. So it's just that was never going to happen.
Plus, you live and learn.
And the name of our company is Creative Control. Like,
Exactly.
come on. You know what I'm saying?
But you live and learn, too. Just a quick story. When we did Through the Wire, and we had the bulletin board. I don't know if y'all seen Through the Wire, the video. The bulletin board built, everything going smooth. Kanye come in like, man, I want the bulletin board. I want all the Polaroids to spell out "Get well soon" on the bulletin board, right? And we like, that's terrible. No, we're not gonna do that. But he like, man, it's my song. It's my, I'm the artist. So we like, well, Chike was like, okay, we'll try. I was salty at Chike, boy. So we spent like 3 weeks making the bulletin board spell out "Get well soon." And then as soon as he seen it, he was like, oh yeah, this is terrible. But I'm talking about 3 weeks of that. So we learned living. You got to live and learn, you know.
I have a similar story to share with you later about that. So in the process of editing this, I've seen the containers of tapes. There are many. I'm sure there was so much stuff that you couldn't fit in and you had to cut out. And, you know, I'm sure you guys had a lot of fun and there were funny moments. And, you know, how much of that do you wish you could have fit into this project? Or was there anything that you had a hard time cutting out?
I mean, it was 330 mini DV tapes. That's 330 hours of footage that we made into 4 hours, you know. So it was a lot that we didn't put in, a lot that we had to cut out. But like Chike said, yeah, a lot of hard drives. We ain't even talking the terabytes of footage from the, digital. But like Chike said, man, we everything we did up until this moment was rehearsal for this moment. So we really learned how to, structure a film, like to hit the right beats and catalyst moments and protag and all of these terms that, it took me a minute to learn, though. Like protag, but we learned it and we got a film.
And was it a very emotional process for you to rewatch all of this stuff? I mean, was there anything that was like super hard for you to rewatch?
I mean, of course, Mama West, Donda West, his mom, just watching that, I think we all felt a certain way because she was, our homie, you know what I'm saying? So, what about y'all? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the same. Like, Mama West was definitely the hardest part. And I don't want to ruin it for the folks who haven't seen 3 because, like, 1 is the warm-up. Like, we love all 3 films. Like, we feel like they're incredible. But 1 is the takeoff, and it just gets better and better and higher. And 3 is, it touches the soul in so many different ways. And going through those moments, rewatching, writing, rewriting, and living in those moments, it was it definitely pulls at your heartstrings a lot, but at the same time it fills you with gratitude. Like you so, just full of gratitude, grateful for the moment, grateful to be a part of this journey, grateful to be alive, grateful to have the gifts that we have, grateful to be here right now with all these brilliant people. Like it was so many layers to this story and this journey that's still happening right now. So So it was definitely emotional at times, and I don't want to tap into it for that section over there who ain't seen 3, because ain't none of y'all raised y'all hands. I seen it, but it was definitely I mean, Mama West especially, and we talk about like the film is really centered around God and love, and one of the main things that we all have experienced is we know that our ancestors were with us and are with us during this process. So all 3 of us, our fathers have passed on. Mama West passed on, and we could feel their spirit and their energy with this entire process. And we're talking like he shot for 21 years, but we like zoned in for the past 2 years to really work on the film. And it was I mean, I know I really ain't do too much else because I really wasn't trying to do too much else. So we were just in this moment. And, you know, the highs, the lows, the balance, the joy, the heartache, all of it.
It was dope though, but most of the time we get caught up talking and reminiscing about moments that we're seeing, because you would see footage and you'd be like, dang, I didn't even know I was there. Like, and then I'm saying Coodie turns around, you're in the thing, like, wait. And so you get caught up reminiscing about a scene, and then next thing you know, we're like wasted 2 hours talking, and we haven't even edited anything.
It wasn't a waste, Chike. It wasn't a waste. That was some good convos.
Yeah, we definitely was.
Hey, y'all know what that is right there that was talking? Right here, in blue hat right there. That's Jay
Right.
Ivy.
Oh, me?
Okay, just making sure y'all know.
Like,
That's Jay Ivy.
I'm like, who? I'm like, wait.
I know, I'm looking too. I was like,
Wait. I thought
that's Jay Ivy, the
I thought he was
wordsmith.
pointing at my man.
in the blue sweater. Jay Ivy is nominated for a Grammy right now, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Give it up for Jay Ivy. You know, this dude right here though, he came in and wrote the narration, and you know, I didn't even want to narrate at first. You know, they talked me into it, but when we decided, well, our editors really was like pushing it, and Jay Ivy was like, I had to call Jay Ivy again. Like you know, y'all heard Never Let Me Down, right? Jay Ivy, give him a little piece of Never Let Me Down, man. Come on, man. We got to loosen this crowd up. Man, this crowd.
Yeah. Well, how's this mic? Is the mic good? Can y'all, hey.
We don't need a mic.
I think.
Get up, I get, y'all say down.
Oh.
All right. Get up, I get down. 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 We all here for a reason on a particular path. You don't need a curriculum to know that you're a part of the math. Cats think I'm delirious, but I'm so damn serious. That's why I expose my soul to the globe, the world. I'm trying to make it better for these little boys and girls. I'm not just another individual. My spirit is a part of this. That's why I get spiritual. But I get my hymns from him, so it's not me, it's he that's lyrical. I'm not a miracle, I'm a heaven-sent instrument. My erratic regiment navigates melodic notes to your soul and your mental. That's why I'm instrumental. Vibrations is what I'm into. Yeah, I need my loot by Rit Day, but that ain't what gives me the heart of Kunta Kinte. I'm trying to give us free like Senke. I can't stop. That's why I'm hot. Determination, dedication, motivation. I'm talking to you, my many inspirations. While I say I can't let you or self down. If I want the highest cliff, on the highest riff, and you slipped off the side cliff onto your life in my grip, I would never, ever let you down. And when these words are found, let it be known that God's penmanship has been signed with a language called love. That's why my breath is felt by the deaf, and while my words are heard and confined to the ears of the blind, I too dream in color and in rhyme. So I guess I'm one of a kind in a full house, because whenever I open my heart, my soul, or my mouth, a touch of God rains out. Get up, I get
Down.
Get up, I get
Down.
Get up, I get
Down.
Get up, I get
Down. Jay Ivy, y'all. Yeah.
Thank you. Can I tell y'all that story real quick?
Please.
All right. So, and Coodie was talking about him calling me for genius, right? So, 20 years ago, 2002, exactly 20 years ago, I had moved to New York. Y'all remember Def Poetry? Right. So when I did Def Poetry, Coodie was actually sitting front row. So I had that, that support from the home team. But he was the one that encouraged me to move to New York. I get to New York. When I get there, this was right around time Kanye get his record deal. So when he signed the deal, y'all saw that in one. So this is, I got there like maybe 3 weeks before that moment. Fast forward, Coodie, he in L.A., he out here with Kanye, and he calls me. He's like, man, he was like, Jay, Kanye got this song with him and Jay-Z on it, and he want to put a poet on it. And I told him he need to put J. Ivy on it. Coodie a funny dude, so I'm like, dog, stop playing. That ain't, it's not funny. And then he was like, no, you need to get out here tomorrow if you can. I'm in New York. He like, you need to get to L.A. tomorrow. I was like, oh, you for real? I'm going to find a way. I'm going to find a way. So he plays a song for me over the phone. I really couldn't hear the words, so he telling me what Jay-Z saying in his verse. Jay-Z is saying in his verse. He telling me what Kanye is saying in his verse. He telling me the hook. And he like, Jay, get out here tomorrow. I said, I'm going to find a way. So I hung up the phone, and my first thought was, you need to write something right now. When he called, it was like 11 o'clock on a Saturday when he called me, and I just happened to be writing when he called me. So I hung up the phone. I was like, man, you write something right now. Like, don't overthink the moment. Like, don't overthink the moment. Flow, flow, flow. So I turned to a blank page, and I wrote the date down, and I wrote the title down, Never Let Me Down. Wrote the first thing that came to my mind. We all here for a reason on a particular path. You don't need a curriculum to know that you're a part of the math. And then my mind went completely blank. So I started banging on the page. I was like, this ain't time for writer's block. So I was like, God, I need a piece right now. I was like, please give me one right now. And I put my hand back to the page. My hand just started writing and writing and writing. Wrote a full page, turned the page over, wrote a few more lines. I stopped. I read over the piece. I was like, man, it's kind of hot. I read over like 4 or 5 times. I called Coodie back in 10 minutes. Like, dog, listen to this. So I spit the poem for him over the phone. He like, oh, man, that's crazy. He like, hold on, Jay, hold on. So he go in another room. Music's loud, bunch of people talking, and everything went quiet. Coodie was like, I'm put you on speakerphone. Spit the poem again, Jay. So I did the poem again like I had done it a million times already. If I'm the highest cliff, I'm going in. When I finished, the room erupted. Everybody's like, oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. I'm in Brooklyn broke by myself. Like, what's good? What's up? You know what I mean? Like, what y'all doing? So then I hear Kanye, and Kanye like, man, Jay, do it again. I did it again. Jay, spit it again, spit it again, spit it again, spit it again. I did the joint for like a half hour, the piece a minute long. So I did it over and over and over and over and over again. And then Coodie finally got back on the phone. He was like, Jay, guess what? I'm like, what? He was like, Kanye flying you out here tomorrow. I said, I found my way.
Yeah. And real quick, just another quick story to that. If it wasn't for Jabby being out there, we would be listening to this dude named John Stevens.
Should I tell it?
Yeah. Y'all know John Stevens? Yeah? Who was John Stevens? I thought you said yeah. Who know, huh? Yeah, exactly. So Jabby gave John Legend his name.
And that happened that same night, so I might as well tell this story too. I'm sorry. So this is a part, these like the outtakes of the film, right, I guess?
Yeah.
So this is a quick one. So Kanye played the song Never Let Me Down over and over and over again. He's like, man, you heard a singer named John Stevens. I was like, yeah, I've been hearing about him in New York. So he plays this song. Song's incredible, soulful, just dope. I was like, man, it's dope. So an hour later, John Stevens walks in the studio. And I didn't even know he was there. So I'm like, oh, what up, man? I'm J. Ivy. I'm a poet from Chicago. I heard your music, man. I was like, sound like that music from the old school. I was like, sound like that music my folks used to listen to back in the day. I was like, dog, you sound like one of the legends. I was like, you a legend, you a legend. Matter of fact, that's what I'm going to call you from now on. I'm going to call you the legend. But it's just me and him talking, right? So a couple of days later, we still in the studio, and we're in the lounge. In walks John Stevens, like 10, 12 of us in the lounge. In walks John Stevens, everybody shouting him out. John Stevens in the building, John Stevens in the house. What up, John Stevens? And I was like, John Legend. And everybody looked at me, and they looked back at him, and they was, oh, man, oh, man. And Kanye was the main one. You, John Legend, from now on. So that's how he got the name John Legend.
So...
Thanks for calling me, Coodie. Thanks for calling me.
Thank you for sharing these stories. Real quick, before we move on to asking you guys for questions, I was curious, how many of you are actually filmmakers? Oh, okay.
Wow.
Love it.
There's some movies in this room.
So before we move on to, the questions that they might have, I'm just curious, what is like some golden nuggets you can give our filmmakers here to like move forward with in their careers and in the projects that they're working on? What's something that you wish somebody had said to you?
You can't give up on anything you're doing. It's going to be difficult. Just know that out the gate. It's going to be, especially in this industry, it's going to be difficult. But don't try to find like the easy path out. Like if you want to, whatever lane it is that you want to do, if you want to direct. Like don't wait for somebody to give you the opportunity to direct. Just start directing. Start as small as you can. If it's pencil on crayon to tell a story, tell it that way. And use the resources you have to do with what you can. Don't wait for somebody to give you an opportunity because it won't happen if you wait for it. Just take it and it might be horrible when you look back on it, but you need to start somewhere. So just start with what you have and just keep building and building. And I promise you, if you do that, you're gonna get to where you're going, and your work's just gonna get better. You know what I mean?
And you obviously don't need a red camera to start your projects.
It's your story, it's your idea. Like you literally could do something with a crayon and a piece of paper and whatever. Like you can, it's the idea. You know what I'm saying? It's a story. It's the concept. It can get to, blockbuster at some point if you even want to get there. But it's just really about getting your idea out and letting that idea resonate with others.
Right. Amazing. Anyone else? No?
I agree with Chike. But and I just keep saying this though, is to just believe in whatever you do, have that vision and believe in it and make it happen. Like Chike said, don't wait for nobody. Just do it.
You're going to get 1,000 no's out the gate. Just be like, you're going to get way more no's than you might get, but you only need one. Yeah, like you only need one. So it doesn't matter. Just embrace them, take them. You know what I'm saying?
And one thing too is like, understand that everything happened for a reason. Me and Chike came, after we did Through the Wire, they signed us to William Morris. We had Charles King as our agent, one of the biggest agents in Hollywood. And we would go out to these pitches, and I'm talking about we'd be killing the pitches. Like we should have got everything that we pitched for, but we was first-time directors. And every time they told us no, the only thing I was just like, thank God. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a reason why they told us no. So you got to just understand that and move in that way. And when it happens, thank God. Always thank God. Always have gratitude.
Awesome. Okay.
And I was just going to say real quick, and no fear. Fear kills dreams.
Yep.
So no fear.
That is the truth. All right, guys. Who has a question?
All right, so we'll pick two.
I got this guy in the hat right here.
And then number two.
Somebody.
Anybody.
Doom, ding, doom, doom.
It's was it International Women's Day? There you go. International Women's Day.
Yeah, happy International Women's Day. Absolutely. Much love.
Ladies.
Y'all can hear me? Yep. How y'all doing, man? My name is Dante. I've been keeping up with y'all since like 2010, 11. I learned filmmaking from Tabby in D.C. So it's just amazing to see y'all here doing y'all thing, for real. I'm curious with a documentary this caliber, you know what I'm saying? You sticking with something for 20 years, 20 plus years. Can you talk about some of the complications logistically in terms of getting it done? You got a lot of faces that you done came across over, like, you can't get releases from. Like, I mean, a lot of politics going into this. I mean, back home, even just with the way that Chicago is and narratives and everything like that. Could you just talk about some of the complications that could go in that from a logistical point for something this big?
I mean, the best thing Kanye could have did for us is run for president. So that just helped logistically with a lot of footage, because just legally, like when you run, you give up you become a public figure, and if it's for like a presidency, even the people around you who are in the camp. So it's a lot of little things like that. There's fair use situations. If you have enough commentary around something that builds up a scene, and you need footage to support it, then you can get clearance for that stuff. So the most difficult part for us was more music, licensing, publishing, stuff like that. And some things you just gotta pick your battles, man. I can't go into particulars, but there's some things like you just gonna have to take them hits and deal with them when you deal with them. So you know,
Gotta have faith, man. Yeah. You gotta have so much faith and just move that way. Like I think like everybody that was involved with this project, we built their faith up because it was times when people was coming at us like, we're gonna stop the movie from happening, and I'm like, let's see, you know what I'm saying? Because my thing is that when you got God on your side, it's like going to a grammar school basketball game with Michael Jordan on your side. You know what I mean? You about to play them, and you got Mike. You gonna win, and when you going there with no fear when you know that. So the faith that we had, and every time something came our way, we was just like, I was just like, trust God. Just trust God. We're gonna be good. And we just kept moving, and everybody was like, you know, as scared as they was to move, some people, they just felt our faith, and they moved with us. So we got through a lot that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, logistically, people probably really had to pull their hair out. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have to do that. We wasn't dealing with that because we just believed so hard that it was going to come out, that God, it was ordained. This project was ordained by God, so we wasn't worried, you know, and worrying is the worst.
But the same token, you know, Coodie with his patience, he was also willing to sit on it for another 5 years. Like, a lot of times you have to be, this is one of the greatest lessons I think that we learned is you got to be willing to walk away from anything. You can't want something so bad that you're just going to compromise your integrity for it. Like, you got to be willing to be like, nah, this ain't the right deal. Like, I'm cool. I'll wait till the right thing happens. Even if that means, like, I'm going to be eating ramen for the next 2 years again. Like, you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. Like, you got to be, that's the only way, like, you can really hold on to your leverage, because as soon as you give in, you lose all your leverage. You know what I'm saying? So, when it comes to deal making and whatnot, you got to be willing to be like, and it could be a bluff, but you just got to be willing to be okay with it. You know what I'm saying? So
Don't be desperate.
Oh, life lessons. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ayana. Thank you so much for coming today. And I loved just watching this, because not only do we see Kanye's journey, but I feel like I was able to like see all of your guys' journey as well through this. And so my question was, what were some unconventional skills or unexpected skills that you've all have picked up along the way from this like incredible journey?
Skills.
I said probably like every skill you need to like make a film. Like either of us could complete a film from start to finish on our own, from like obviously editing to shooting to, so like every side of the filmmaking aspect, like we've learned how to do by default, not because we wanted to, but just because we never had the resources to be able to do so. So like we had to cut our own music videos in the beginning, had to learn how to color correct them, had to learn how to, you know, do sound design to a certain level. So like there's certain, now we never mastered them, you know what I'm saying? And I think that the important thing is as you start to level up, you want to allow space for those people that are masters at that thing to do their thing. And you don't want to have to be a jack of all trades. You really want to master the one thing you're at and bring in another master at something, another master at something. But in the beginning, it's important to have knowledge of all those things, because in this business, they will try to eat you. Like, you will get into situations where, you know, you will get, like, especially in post, like if you're not cognizant of how post works or post effects, like they'll milk you, you know what I'm saying? And you'll spend a lot of money when you probably could have spent half of it, just because you just don't know that industry. So it's important to have somewhat of an understanding how all the components work, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, and mess with you though too, like, cause you know, we stuck together, me and Chike, you know what I mean? Then Jay Ivy, we all rolled together. Like our editors from Coney Island, they did first to do it another project. We all moved together, and then what we learned too is that you got to let everybody do their genius. Everybody got a genius in them. And you got to let them do their genius. And of course, as the directors, we have to come in and like structure the different ways if not. But I mean, if they do something that we don't like or something we think would be better, but first give everybody and let them, get your team together and let them do their genius, and then work from that point on. Yeah, so that's a skill, I guess.
Yeah, I'll say another skill too is like, don't be afraid to speak up. You know, when it comes to ideas, like I come in as a writer, but I've been around, and also voice director. But I come in with that skill set. But I've been around Coodie and Chike for 20 plus years. I done seen
y'all.
Right, yeah, damn, older than y'all.
right now,
Golly.
all right.
Not right now. Not right now. So, but I picked up on things just being around them, watching them edit, color correct, shoot. So you'll see certain things. So as a writer, I may have an idea, and I'll be like, man, what about this? And that idea may work. So, you know, just always be there's no dumb idea. Even if I throw something out and they're like, nah, Jay. Like, even if that happens, still, like, the no might spark something else. So always just keep throwing stuff at the canvas and see what stick.
Where's our next question at?
There you go. Tommy.
What's going on? My name's Tommy. First of all, I want to say thank you for coming out. Can we just give him another round of applause real quick?
Hey, Tommy. That's my man Tommy right there, y'all.
Yeah, appreciate it, Jay. This question's for Coodie. How did your like creative process change when you were going from stand up to Channel Zero? And then like, what advice would you give like young comics, just starting out?
Well, what I did was, and Chike talk about it, really, just give me the love for it. But when I did stand up, I learned how to tell stories. I had to write jokes and make people laugh. And I understood timing and beats that I just really carried all of that over to filmmaking. So nothing really changed besides me being in front of the camera or behind the camera. Even with Channel Zero, and when we did Channel Zero, I was learning so much, and I just fell in love with filmmaking. You know what I mean? Not even because I was the host of Channel Zero first, and then when Danny, the guy who was working with me, when he decided that he, rather do other things, I asked him to teach me how to use his camera because I love the response that we were getting when we would play it at the barbershop, or we'd give it to Method Man, and I see him a year later, he talking about Channel Zero, telling me everything about it. So I just fell in love with that. But I think every experience that you have, you got to learn from, and you got to carry it over to the next thing that you do. So, if I answer your question right.
Sure, thank you.
I think what was dope with Coodie was that for him, he's always been a storyteller. He's really always been a director. In essence, he just the medium of how he was telling story at that time just happened to be comedy. So he just carried that over to more behind the scenes to film. Like we're in the edits, he makes decisions sometimes that are like, I don't even see how he saw that, but I get it because when he was doing comedy, just being able to have to work a room of 3,000 people and have to really hit your stuff in material and hit beats right on time. Otherwise, you're getting crushed. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to deal with that pressure. Like, we don't have to deal with that after the film comes out, but then we can hide behind the computer. You don't see us. He's dealing with it in real time if he bombs on stage. You know what I'm saying? So, but he's always been a storyteller, and I think you got to look into like what your talent really is. Your talent might be way broader than what you think it is, and you might be able to transfer over into many facets of something as opposed to looking like this one thing. So,
improvise too. That is like when you think about it, and we do that all the time with our movies and videos and everything. We improvise because you might want a sunny day, and then God no, it's raining, and we always say, Jesus direct everything that we do. You know what I mean? Like when you rely on that, then everything always happens the best way. Okay, there's raining, so there's a reason why it's raining. So when we did Ghetto Rock for Mos Def, we wanted a sunny day in this pool, and it rained, and the sky was so beautiful that it was amazing how God helped us with that. You know what I mean? It's just everything we do, he always he always make it better. Yeah.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Kyla Evans. What an amazing day to see you guys here. Thank you for being here. I just had a question concerning how you let people know who you are when you're in a room. When people don't know who you are, it looked like you guys have been among so many different people along this journey. And do you think that it was more so people coming to you about your talents? Like, Coodie, I know in the series you were doing videos for people even past the beginning of starting the documentary. So was it the fact that you were able to go up to people like, this is what I do, this is who I am, with confidence, or were people more so coming to you, and how did you just navigate that from each of you?
Yeah, I definitely moved with confidence. When we was doing Channel Zero, we were so ignorant. You know what I'm saying? We didn't care. Like, we didn't care who you was. We was respectful for the fact of whoever you were, but we just didn't care. So, and in college, we used to say this thing, and I probably shouldn't say this, but we used to be like, me and all my boys, and it's just something that was so dope, though, because it just made things so easy. But we'd be like, we don't give a F. We don't give a F. Just sign me in your shit. So that right there, just let you know. But no, when you walk in the room, it's like you should just be yourself. You know what I mean? Just be yourself, and everybody gravitate to that. You know what I'm saying? Definitely, if you got a positive attitude, and that's the only way you should move, with a positive attitude. So I come in the room, I'm like smile. I just couldn't help but smile. I was just happy because I just ain't care. I just ain't let nothing get to me. So, maybe that's a good
I mean,
answer. Hopefully,
Coodie and I are different in the sense of like, Coodie's very much in front of the camera. He's very much more social. Like I'm completely opposite of that to a degree. So I'm more at home. I'm more like the introvert, which is why our relationship works so well. But but before I met Coodie, and I think the reason why Coodie gravitated to me, the same reason why I gravitated to him, was obviously our personalities and we got along. But it was I saw his talent. You know what I'm saying? And so what I'm saying is like, and he saw my talent, and the confidence for me comes from my talent. I'm not so much confident in like my social skills at all, but I am confident about what I'm good at. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like I just remind myself of that. Like I know I'm good at, and I'm gonna put my confidence in that, and I know you'll see that. You'll see it in my work. My work will speak for itself, and I feel like he was able to see my work. Kanye was able to see my work. Jay enough to want them to collaborate with me. You know what I'm saying? So like, you don't have to have it you don't have to have the same amount of confidence sometimes in yourself. You can have it in just your talents. You know, so that's what I use for my confidence.
Yeah, and I'll say I've never met a stranger. You know, like have that attitude. Like there are no strangers. Like we get caught up in these boxes because we all look different. We come from different backgrounds. We get put in these boxes, and with those boxes, we forget that we're all connected. Like we're all love and light, and we're all descendants of the Most High. And if you can get past the divides and the divisions, when you walk in a room, there are no strangers in the room. So it's just a matter of being yourself, being comfortable with who you are, and knowing that you come bearing love. Now, if you don't get the love back, you keep it moving. Like, it don't have to be a battle. You keep it moving, and you draw to the energy that's like yours. But like Chike said, I learned a lot of that through performing. I was a very shy kid. I mean, very shy kid. I was a broken kid. My folks got divorced. Pops wasn't in the house, and subconsciously that really affected me, and I became socially awkward. I didn't know how to talk, but writing, and then the writing turned into performances, and then you do it over and over, and you exercise this feeling and this passion and this love, and then it started to break me out of my shell. And once I got out of my shell, I'm like, oh, we all one, we all connected. We forget, but we all one. That's why when I walked in the room, y'all quiet as hell. I'm like, what's up, y'all? Like this, y'all, this family, this the village, So I might not know y'all names or your faces, but we family. But we forget that though. So yeah, no strangers. No strangers.
So we have
real.
We have one last question, and then just to make sure that your evening is still on time, we'll have to say goodnight.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if this is working.
Just be loud.
I could be loud. What's up, y'all? My name is Justin. I'm from Chicago, and I just want to say thank you guys, because like it was just really beautiful to see, like, from my perspective, I got to see how like Kanye influenced and impacted the city that I grew up in. But watching that documentary allowed me to see how the city and the three of y'all got to impact Kanye. And so seeing that from that perspective, just amazing to see, like, something I got to carry from my childhood to this moment. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate that.
That's love, man.
Good respect.
My question was, and it kind of delves into part 3, so if you didn't watch it, cover your ears, I guess. I don't know. But, there's a scene where, like, you get to witness, like, what's happening to Kanye throughout the years, and it coincides with, like, the birth of your daughter, Coodie, and, like, you raising her. And there's something, like, there's something that, like, contrasts the two scenes a lot that just spoke to me. So I was wondering, like, on a larger scale, like, what do you feel like your role was in the entire, like, all 3 parts of the movie? Because we got to understand that you wanted to speak about Kanye, not just as a person, but who was he as a character? How did he serve the larger story? So I was wondering, like, how did Coodie serve the larger story?
I mean, to me, the intent of that was to create this juxtaposition of like these two characters. Kanye's achieving, and what he's achieved is something that's like 0.025 people will ever achieve. You know what I'm saying? in the sense of like he's like on some MJ, like Michael Jackson type. You know what I'm saying?
And me, everybody can be me.
But,
Ain't nothing
but the
to
thing,
be
but
me.
what I'm saying is like success. There's so many different measures to success, and I feel like Coodie's route to success wasn't so rooted in fame. It was rooted in family and happiness and his spirituality. And to me, they both arrived at, even though Kanye might look like he's bigger than the world, to me, I look at Coodie as like bigger than the world because he's really been able to like identify a version of life that's just rooted in true happiness. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like it was important to not get lost in this one way of thinking. And often in this society, we do that. We're defined by chasing money. And like, to me, it's like, nah, this other thing here is real. You know what I'm saying? And this is where like a lot of happiness lies. So it was important for us to show the juxtaposition of those two, you know?
Yeah, and I'll say this too. Yeah, get up. I'll say this too because I think it gets lost in the story, but there's also an age difference, right? So Coodie's like he big bro to all of us. He got 5 on me, you know. You know what I mean? Like he probably younger than all of us too. You know what I mean? Like as far as like spirit, you know. But he had experience and knowledge and stardom, and then you combine that with what Chike is saying with the the love and the family and the joy and all that. So really, what you're saying is a story of brotherhood, and Kanye's Coodie's little brother, you know, and even though, but it gets lost. I mean, you feel the brotherhood part, but you forget the age difference, you know, unless you flash back to part 1. But I think that was a big factor too, because there was a lot that Kanye learned from Coodie being in the room. Like, yeah, he in the room with the camera, but this is also Coodie in the room with the camera. This ain't just anybody. Coodie was a superstar to us in Chicago. Like Channel Zero, like to get on Channel Zero, like that was like, yo, I made it. Like you get on Channel Zero, that was every artist's dream was to get on that show. That was our MTV. That was, well, that might not even resonate with y'all either, because
right.
That was what would that be right now? Like, I don't know.
World Star, I don't know.
World Star, I don't know. Yeah, but at the back in my day, MTV was a big deal, you know. But so was Channel Zero. Like Channel Zero was huge to want to get on that show, and he was the star of that show. So like he said, who'd you say who'd you just mention? Was talking about Method Man, like Method Man, but then you also got Shaquille O'Neal and you got Kobe Bryant, and you get all these people that knew and were fans of Channel Zero and were fans of Coodie, including Kanye. Like Kanye looked up to Coodie. Kanye wanted to be on Channel Zero. Like in the first clip, y'all see it. I don't know if y'all can see it, but he hyped to be on Channel Zero. It was a big deal. So the brotherhood factor is another huge one too.
That it?
I just want to say one thing real quick, just because y'all really understand, like, y'all are already ahead of the game. Like, the fact that you're in this school at USC, this film program, this school in general, like, none of us would have gotten into USC. Like, we wouldn't have got accepted to the school. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, like, coming out of high school, I wouldn't have made it to you. I promise you.
I had that.
I definitely would have been here.
I wouldn't have definitely been there.
So what I'm saying is, like,
I couldn't read till I was 30.
But-
Remember I said that earlier. So I know I wouldn't have been there.
but just know you're already ahead. You're already miles ahead. So just continue to just stay ahead. You know what I'm saying? So if you ever get down and but you're already so far ahead. So just try to keep that distance and keep going, keep it up. You know what I mean? So,
And while you're doing that, treat people good along the way. Like treat people good. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's a real thing. You'll never know when somebody come back around 5, 10, 20 years later and want to call, but like, nah, I remember that time.
the
That's
best
real.
advice in the movie that you could ever give is what Pharrell gives to Kanye. Like, just put that on repeat. You know what I'm saying? Stay hungry.
I ain't seen that part yet.
Well, some people saw it too. Okay. Well, when you do watch it, pay attention to what Pharrell says. It's the best piece of advice you could ever get, you know.
Well, thank you guys
Appreciate
so
y'all.
much for
Thank
coming
you,
out
for sure.
today.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thank y'all.
Thank you. USC. Trojans in the house.